We have some very unfortunate news coming out of Miami Hurricanes camp on this Sunday morning. We bring in Alonzo Oliver. You can join him on Alonzo1219, the U family. Please check out his YouTube channel for some excellent Miami football talk. Alonzo, how you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm good. A little tired, but I'm good, blessed. But a little sad news, like you was talking about, going on in Miami. I'll let you lead off with that.
Yeah, so cornerback Malik Young. This is reported by the Sun Sentinel. Also, Kane's Insight, potential career ending, and it almost seems certain at this point based on the reaction that we see on social media. Career ending injury to his neck and vertebrae. Malik had 43 total tackles last year, 2 picks, and 8 passes broken up to lead the team. We see a lot of support on Twitter and Instagram, led by defensive coordinator Manny Diaz. So it seems just about certain, based on the medical reports, that this is the end of the line in terms of football for Malik Young. So, Alonzo, that's obviously a difficult blow to the football team, but more importantly to the young man.
Yeah, a lot of times we don't realize that football is a game, and it's bigger things at play in life, and to have it, taken from him so young, and him having the opportunity to probably go on and play at the next level, and now not happening for him. I think that's really really going to be devastating for him. The thing that I do know about the University of Miami and with a lot of their players, well, most of their players, is they're family, and it's a small tight group. They're family. They're more like a fraternity than just a football team. All those guys stay together. So I really do believe that they'll support him 100%. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on the sideline, if not at every game next year. You know, almost every game in some type of capacity. Just to be able to be around the team, and being able to be there with the team and the players is so unfortunate. He's a good talent, very good talent. Helped us out a lot last year. Um, Sorry for him, sorry for his family. If I could give any words to him, it would just be, stick in there, get your education, and there's always life after football, even though a lot of these young men don't see that when it happens. But get your education, and it's just a blow to him. And I'm not really concerned about the team, but him and his family. Just wish him all the best of luck, man. Malik is a very, very talented player.
Absolutely, because I think we tend to get too wrapped up, many of us, with the wins and losses and the roster, and okay, what's coming up for 2018? How good are we going to be at every position? And we lose somebody like this, and we just consider them a commodity, or some people do. Let's look at the rest of the depth chart. How are we doing? Okay, we've got a strong position there. It's not that big of a loss, or it is a big loss. What are we going to do? And not think about the individual. We're talking about, yeah, a 20-year-old, 21-year-old young man who has put his heart and soul, his effort into lifting weights, studying film, going to practice each and every day. We just think about the season practice. This is a 24/7, 365 kind of job, getting his education, doing the right things from all that we can gather. And then to have it all, to have those dreams, aspirations, that vision, that goal snatched away suddenly, it has to be a very difficult thing. So, yeah, thoughts and prayers go out to Malik Young, and hopefully he has put the education in place and the other hard work outside the football field to set him up for the future. But it's something that, I'm sure is a shock that you have to take into consideration and kind of step back from, and it's going to take some time to get over that portion of his life being taken away from him. But you mentioned the support system there. We see it on the sideline at the games, and I think it's even deeper than that, as you mentioned, more so than just showing up for the games and on the sideline, in terms of the brotherhood there at the U. It certainly
Yes,
appears that way.
it's a strong brotherhood, and like you said, just the way how long he's been doing. I'm pretty sure he's been doing it since he's 5, 6 years old. So football is all he knows. So hopefully, some type of um, graduate assistant coaching thing he can get into or something. I just wish the young man the best. It's a sad situation. So
Alonso, looking at the depth chart, you got Michael Jackson coming back as a senior, also a senior in Javante Dean. Trajan Bandy is just a sophomore coming into his sophomore season, had a tremendous freshman campaign. So it looks to be well fortified at cornerback. He signed Al Blades Jr. We know his bloodlines Gilbert Frierson, DJ Ivy. So the cornerback position seems to be in good shape, but Malik Young is certainly going to be missed. We talked about his off the field pursuits and wish him the best there, but on the field, certainly he was coming into his own and had potential to play at the next level.
Yeah, we're gonna. I think at corner is probably gonna be who's gonna probably take that next spot. Might be Michael Jackson. Devontae Dean. I think he was a 1-year player for us. I think Devontae Dean he'll be gone next year. He came over from the Citadel up here in South Carolina as a graduate assistant. I mean, as a graduate transfer. So I think I think that was his last year. No disrespect to him, I'm kind of glad that was his last year because he really didn't play well at all last year. I think we'll be pretty solid at corner. Got a lot of recruits coming, like I said, Al Blaze Jr. I think we'll be pretty solid at corner and safety this year. So just have to let it play out in the spring, spring ball, let it play out and everything. But one thing about, like you say, is always a next man up mentality in football. In any sport, football, basketball, baseball, it's always the next man up mentality. So I think they'll be fine. The initial shock of this is definitely gonna weigh on a lot of the kids, but I think they'll be pretty okay. Yeah.
Yeah, moving to the defensive line, report came out from the Miami Herald just in the last couple of days that you've got a transfer from Illinois. Not that we know anything about this kid. We'll just have to see if he becomes a contributor. But defensive tackle Tito Odenigbo, he's a graduate transfer from Illinois. He got some playing time with the Illini, 28 tackles, 3.5 tackles for loss for Illinois in the Big Ten. So he's probably not going to be a star, but provide some reinforcement for a defensive line that's gotten hit hard by the NFL draft and a few transfers out of the program. So we'll just have to see how the spring plays out, Alonzo, and see who is next up there when you talk about next man up.
And we got a lot of freshmen coming in. I'm not going to try to name all of them, but a few of them are very highly talented recruits, and they'll get a lot of playing time. No disrespect to the guy from Illinois, but I looked at a few of their games last year, and if they got a tackle in the backfield, it was a blessing. This guy, is Lovie Smith coaching there now? I think Lovie Smith's
still there, and it's a mess right now.
Oh my gosh,
they're the worst team in the Big Ten. They're bad. They're awful.
Oh man, I'm not really. I mean, you could hope for something from the young man. I hope he can give us something, but the transfer. Okay. Manny Diaz is a very, very talented coach. He's very talented. He understands how to scheme. He kind of gets ahead of himself sometimes. He gets a little too excited and start doing some exotic stuff every now and then. He's very talented. So in my opinion, from watching him over the last few years, he puts people in the right position to succeed. So yeah. I'm pretty. No matter who we have on defense, I'm almost confident just because of Manny Diaz. You have to have talent. But I love the way he coaches.
It's not the Illinois defense of Simeon Rice 20 years ago. So
no, it's definitely
those
not.
Guys.
I don't know if it's the Illinois defense of Harvard right now. They kind of, man. But we'll see. I'm pretty sure I'll meet the young man at the spring game and maybe get an opportunity to talk to him. But that's a beautiful thing about college football is spring is right around the corner and you get to go see those guys play. So all the stars and all the hype and maybe the non-hype from some players, you'll get to see what they're capable of doing during spring. So
I saw a stat a couple days ago, Alonzo, that 15 of the 85 players who will participate in this year's NFL Pro Bowl had no stars next to their names. Nothing. Did not get a ranking or a rating by a recruiting service. So we know that the 5 stars and the 4 stars mean something for the most part, but there's certainly a ton of guys that slip through.
Exactly. Ray Lewis was one of them. He'll tell you that. He got signed at the last minute by the University of Miami. He loves to tell that story. And probably, to me, I'm not going to say the greatest linebacker because he had so many, but he's definitely up there with the Lawrence Taylors and the Dick Buckuses. And though if he's not greater, he's right there. He's not a level below.
He's on the short list. There's no question about that. No question about that. And I was glad to see, not to take this down this path, but after they lost that just excruciating AFC Championship game on the missed field goal, that they came right back to Terrell Suggs, Ray Lewis, and the boys the next season to win the Super Bowl in Ray Lewis's last year. That was good to see him get that next ring. We're talking about guys coming into the system, Alonzo. Of course, the recruiting season has completely changed in college football. I don't know if it's for the better. I think a lot of the coaches have commented that they don't like it. Most of them have, but also they're going to have a wait and see attitude to see how it plays out and how they can adjust their schedules. But it's right in the middle of postseason football, right after the regular season, right before the bowl games, that they're having to focus on recruiting and try to manage and coach a football team at the same time. And so we saw this early signing period just in its first year become basically the signing period. Miami's got most of it commits in the door, as do most of the big time programs, have signed like 80 to 90% of the guys that they have slots for. And it's a good news narrative here for your Canes. #1 recruiting class, according to all the major services in the ACC, and a top 5 or 6 class nationally.
I'm sorry, I'm looking down. Yeah, I think Mark Richt was one of the only coaches that really was excited about this new rule. I listened to him on the Joe Rose show, even though I'm not a big fan of their show, but I listened to him on the Joe Rose show before it happened, before the recruits were. As soon as they passed the new rule, he was just overly excited about it, because I guess it gives to him. He said it gives him an opportunity not to have to worry into February. Once those guys sign a line, he don't have to worry about them jumping ship in February, So I think that was the big thing for him. You look at the Nick Sabans and those guys, he's typically playing for a national championship. So it's kind of, he may lose out on 1 or 2 recruits, but really, no, he's not. Him, Urban Meyer, those guys who always contending for national championship, those guys aren't going to lose out on recruits. So it's really not going to affect them too much. Now you go to the Ole Misses and the Missouris and, like I say, the Illinoises and teams like that. Yeah, it can affect those guys. But for the major programs, the Miamis, the Ohio States, the Florida States, Alabama's, Georgia's, Texas, LSU's. To me, those guys are going pretty. You might lose 1 or 2 guys, but those guys are pretty firm. Those guys aren't gonna. If those guys aren't gonna jump ship, they're either gonna sign early signing period or they're gonna sign in February.
Alonzo, I think it's a benefit to the guys out there that are hard commits and they're not going to flip and flop and go back and forth. And they now can get signed, sealed, and delivered in mid to late December. And they don't have that 2 months that coaches are bothering them and trying to pull them to their program when they've made that hard commit. Now it's signed, it's done. Quit bothering me. So they can be left alone. So that's good for the young men.
I think it's great for them. I mean, some of the kids like to make these trips. Which, I mean, if you're from Iowa somewhere, offensive line, you're from Iowa, and you used to farming all the time.
I somehow knew you were going to say Iowa even before you said Iowa, Alonzo. For some reason, I knew Iowa was coming out.
I mean, if I'm stuck in Iowa and I'm getting an opportunity to to fly across the country, because the offensive linemen, those guys from like Iowa, Wisconsin, those are probably the best offensive linemen in the country. That's where you're gonna find them at. Those guys get to travel, and you want to travel a little bit. And then if you're from the inner city like Miami, or you're from Michigan or inner city Ohio, and you from Akron or Warren, and you just been stuck there your whole life, and you get opportunity, even though you're going to Ohio State. Man, I'm going to fly down to Miami. I'm going to take me a free trip. They paying for everything, so those guys might not commit as early, but they want to take their trip. So I'm all for the young man getting opportunity to take their trip. What I don't like is the constant, even though they're young, and these guys are young, it's hard to make it's hard for grown men and grown women to make decisions. But when you're young and you constant flip flop, I just rather you go somewhere else sometimes and just keep flip flopping. But I understand the traveling part and wanting to have some fun in your life. So but I like the early signing period, especially for us this year, because we got it pretty good this year on early signing. So
We're on the line with Alonzo Oliver. You can join him on Alonzo1219, the U family. I was glad that I stumbled upon his YouTube channel because then I said, man, this guy is passionate and knowledgeable about college football in Miami in particular. So we connected, and I've had Alonzo on a number of times here to talk the Canes. I think the last time, Alonzo, we talked might have been right around that Pitt game. They might have stumbled against Pitt, and they were setting up for the ACC championship game. So obviously that didn't turn out well. The bowl game against Wisconsin, it was that classic muscle versus speed. And in the first quarter, taking that 14-3 lead, it looked like Miami was just overwhelming Wisconsin, especially on defense. Not so much just the offense, but the defensive front seven speed just was way too much for the Badgers. They adjusted. They protected the quarterback. What was surprising to me was the wide receivers for the Badgers winning the one-on-one matchups, making tremendous plays in space and making outfighting and out high pointing the football on a number of 50-50 balls downfield, and Wisconsin really hurt Miami in the pass game. So just your thoughts. I know it's been a long time, but your take from the Orange Bowl.
Well, if we've been talking for almost all year now, so I'm not a guy who puts things on officials. But that game right there, I put a lot on the officials. There was a lot of defensive line got in the backfield a lot, and there were a lot. I mean, I went back and looked at just frame shots, and I can promise you it was at least 7 or 8 blatant holding calls, blatant, and no flags thrown. And I was wondering why Coach Rick was so upset in the first half, why he was just so irate, because I've never seen him that way. So I'm like, you need to. I'm saying to myself, you need to pay attention to your team and stop learning about referees. And then I go look at the free shots, and I'm like, whoa. And then I'm looking at plays where a few of the Miami receivers got open, and I know one, he got wide open. The defense back from Wisconsin grabbed his jersey and just basically pulled him back, and the referee standing right there. And that was for a touchdown, and no flag thrown. So I can put a lot of that on the coaching staff, because we're definitely way more talented than Wisconsin. No disrespect to Wisconsin, we're a more talented team. We know they play some tough games, but I feel like sometimes officiating Miami is kind of tough. I don't know what they've done to the NCAA, but it's been a few games this year where our defensive line, when they get in the backfield, get grabbed and held. And I'm not saying like, little, like a lot of the ones that everybody can call. I'm talking about with jerseys extended and there's no flags. And I've watched live on games like throw the flag, and there's no flag. I think a lot of that had to. I think when that happens to you, especially a defensive line, and you're getting held a lot, and it's not getting called, I think you kind of get a little discouraged, and it gets frustrating. And I really do. I mean, Wisconsin won the game. I rarely ever blame officials, but that game right there, I think that the defense got tired because they was on the field so much. But I also believe that I think that they kind of gave up a little bit, because now the Clemson game we got whooped, just got manhandled, we got beat down. But that Wisconsin game, I just felt like the officials kind of took it away from them. Just my opinion. I just feel like the officials just didn't call a fair game. If you even look at the penalty yards, it just wasn't a fair game.
We've got Alonzo Oliver on the line to talk some Miami football. You can join Alonzo on his YouTube channel, Alonzo1219, the U family. And we're always enjoying the conversation here with Alonzo to talk college football. All right, this quarterback situation, what do you make of it? Malik Rozier, he was hot and cold. What can we say? Missed a lot of throws, but I don't want to hold him to too high of a standard in regards to your standard college football quarterback, even at the best schools, miss 5 or 6 throws a game. But I would think that you're looking for a little bit more consistency and a little bit more dynamic playmaking ability out of that position. And so the job seems to be up in the air heading into the spring with, of course, N'Kosi Perry waiting in the wings.
I think it's going to be between N'Kosi Perry and Jaron Williams. I'm a big N'Kosi Perry fan. I watched him a lot. Once he started being recruited by Al Golden, I ended up watching him a lot, and I liked the film. And then I also watched Jaron Williams, and he's out of Georgia. And I watched some film on him this year, and he is a baller. He's a big guy who's mobile, very mobile. Who it's gonna be tough, but I really do believe it's gonna be between those two guys. I believe that Mark Richt really wants to run this read option offense. I think that's what he wants. So you have to be athletic, you have to be strong enough, you have to be able to throw the ball. The one thing I love about Perry is you rarely ever see him miss a deep ball. You rarely ever. I mean, he's on target with it, and he throws. If you look at his arm, and I'm trying. I hate to do comparisons, but his. You remember how Michael Vick had that quick release, and just see how fast the ball came out, but how tight the spiral was. He kind of reminds me of that when he's on the run. He just flicks the ball. It's not a, and it's just so consistent with it, and that's what I think I like about Perry. But it'll, in my opinion, it'll be between him and Williams. I don't think Malik has a shot. I believe that the fans have soured on him, especially after the Wisconsin game where he missed so many open receivers, and the Clemson game where he missed so many open receivers. And you only can blame the offensive line so much. Eventually, if your offensive line isn't great or isn't good enough, you have to find a way to get rid of the ball faster. And he held onto the ball a little too long and took sacks that he shouldn't have took and missed open receivers all the time. Or receivers not just missing, even when you complete a pass. If a guy has to reach back for the ball instead of throwing in stride, where that could have been a 30-yard gain instead of a 7-yard gain. Stuff like that, affects the game, the flow of the game. And he did a lot of that. I like Malik. He's a good young man, but I think it'll be between Williams and Perry next year.
Yeah, a couple of plays come to mind that I think of exactly outlining what you're talking about. Braxton Berrios on a slant. It becomes a completion, but he has to go to his knees. He's got to reach behind. He's got to slide. He's got to catch the ball, and it becomes an 8-yard completion versus who knows, he's off to the races otherwise. So we're looking at, when you talk about Williams and Perry, we're talking about just bigger, faster, more dynamic players with better arms. And if they develop their passing game, they're going to be more accurate. So that's the complete upgrade.
I think they're more accurate now. I think where held Perry back was not knowing the playbook. That's what the whole thing was with him coming in, was he didn't know the playbook. He came in late. So he didn't know the playbook, and Malik did. And Malik barely beat him out, and they didn't play Perry this year at all because they didn't want to burn his red shirt. So you got a red shirt year. So I mean, to me, it wasn't a lost year. It wasn't a lost year. I mean, we had a pretty good record. Wish we would have won at the Orange Bowl, but another thing is going to be, and I get on this as well. A lot of Miami fans get on me about Mark Richt calling plays, but I can guarantee you this: if one of these quarterbacks don't make Mark Richt look very good this year, there will be screaming for offensive coordinator by week 6. This year we're gonna have to put points on the board, because I don't know how good our defense is gonna be. With all the defensive linemen that's going to the NFL this year, we're losing 3 of our 5 starters. Like I said, I got a lot of confidence in Manny Diaz, but he's always on a short leash. If we have a bad game, the fans are on him. Defense has a bad game, the fans are on him. Offense has a bad game, is give Coach Rick a time to get his recruits in. I'm like, well, Manny Diaz don't have his recruits in yet. What's the difference? He does some crazy play calling, so does Coach Rick. But I mean, you're on a shorter leash, but the offense is probably going to have to carry us a little bit more this year. They're going to have to hold their weight a little bit more this year, because we have so much defense, including Malik Young, who's not going to be back next year. That's 4 starters right there that's not coming back, that we haven't even talked about any seniors and everything, like Devontae Dane, no disrespect, he's not coming back. It's going to be a whole new. It might be out of 11 starters on defense. I'm thinking it might be at least 5 or 6 that's not coming back. That's half your defense you're having to replace this year.
And you're going to have to find a little depth at running back that you didn't have at the end of last season. I know Lorenzo Lingard is a huge 5-star recruit coming in. Travis Homer was the starting back, but the guy that really impressed me down the stretch and in the bowl game was DJ Dallas. I thought they should have given him the ball more against Wisconsin. He ripped it up there in the first half, and then he seemed to have disappeared. But when they were giving him the ball, he was prominent on the 2 touchdown drives.
I screamed that last year, that at the beginning of last year, if you can go watch I think it was either my first or second YouTube video before the season started, I thought that DJ Dallas would be a running back. I just looked at the way he played quarterback in Georgia, and I said, this guy's going to be a heck of a running back. But we have one guy, and I love Lorenzo Lingard, but if you ever get an opportunity, because the run, I played linebacker, and so I got beat up by a lot of strong running backs. So I always watch the running back position. And Cameron Davis he's a 4-star recruit out of Miami. And he is almost a more physical version of Lingard. He's not as fast, but this guy anywhere else would have been a 5-star. Anywhere else, if he didn't play, he is and I believe that we're going to have probably 2 of the best freshman running backs in the country. I would not doubt if they want to use DJ Dallas in a H-back situation, flanker out sometimes, because I think they want to save it. I think they want to. He's physical. He has a nice size on him, but he's kind of like a Jarvis Landry. He's kind of that type of player. So I don't know if they want to. I think he can play running back, but he likes to say to me, he's kind of like a Jarvis Landry, very, very, very physical. But they'll probably want to catch him in the slot and stuff like that in order to mismatch on linebackers or a small safety, try to cover him, something like that. But Cameron Davis, believe me, I think we're going to have 2 of the best freshman running backs in the country this year. Those 2 guys are definitely going to both of those guys are going to get burned. And I would not doubt if Lingard start and Cameron, if Lingard got 20 carries, I think Davis will probably get 12 to 13. He is a freakish athlete. He really is. He is freakish. So I think we did very well at the running back position this year.
Yeah, and if you've got yourself another Jarvis Landry, wow, that guy can play.
That's why I compare him to. That's why I compare him to. I think you just look at how physical he plays, and the emotion that he played with is. I mean, I looked at it last year. I didn't see it, as a recruit. When I seen him playing last year, I was like, he got a little bit of Jarvis Landry in him. Man. He's a little attitude, strong, and I like him.
Yeah, Jarvis Landry gets off the line. He doesn't let anybody keep their hands on him. He outfights the defender, gets him off, and he's got great hands, catches like 90 passes a year in the NFL. He's really good.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite players. I love that kid.
Okay, Alonzo, you got all the time you need here. I'm about to wrap things up, but if you've got anything else to lay on us, I cherish these times I get to rope you in for a conversation.
Well, if I'm gonna say anything, I'm gonna give a thing to the Miami fans. They did a great job this year, showing up to games. Do it next year. Get your season tickets. Support the team. Win, lose, or draw. Support the team. There's nothing wrong with being critical. Just don't be disrespectful. And that's to anybody. Serious. And I say this a lot, and I've said it on my show. Subscribe to Mark Rogers, because he gives all of us local guys who do this these college football videos a bigger platform. So I appreciate you. This is my first year doing this with you, and man, I had a blast. And actually, it's probably my first video that didn't freeze up. It didn't really freeze up because I got my new Samsung Note 8, and I did it on my phone instead of on Wi-Fi. So
it's clean and looking good.
I appreciate it, man. But seriously, subscribe to this channel. I subscribe to it and watch every video. I might not comment on every video, but I watch every video. And serious, you do big for the college video makers, man. This is a fun thing, and I know you have another job. I mean, you have a job where you have to work at just like the rest of us, but for you to do this for college fans, man, it's big, and I definitely appreciate it, Mark.
Alonzo, I appreciate that statement. I'll try to live up to it, and I'm glad I ran into you and bring you on from time to time when your work schedule allows. I know that's difficult from time to time, but I appreciate you breaking down the knowledge, and the conversation's always good. It's always something that I learn from you, and it's always a good time together. So you take care, and hopefully we can talk some Miami football soon.
Yeah, definitely around spring, but we'll stay in contact before then. But definitely around spring ball. get down there. And actually, if when I get there, hopefully I can do a few of the interviews with some of the players with you right there. You know, get you in live and let you talk to a few of the players. Cause I usually get talk, at least the recruits. I get an opportunity to talk to some of the recruits sometimes. Those guys from Kane Shades Radio, Kane Shades, they be there a lot, and those guys, Unc Nasty, they're very good at with the local guys, and they get a few interviews for me. So if I can get a few of those guys to talk this year, definitely have them on with you.
You know, I love that idea, Alonzo.
Okay.
You have
We'll
a
keep in
good
touch with
one,
that.
and I always appreciate it.
I appreciate it too, Mark. You have a great Sunday, man. Tell the family I said hi.